All righty, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for the 29th of January, 2025. Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers Metro Division matchup series continues tonight, again with the New Jersey Devils, back half of a home and home, this time at the Prudential Center, at the Rock in Newark. It'll be the Flyers and the Devils, and the Flyers are going to look to do something that I think is pretty difficult to do, and that's to beat a team that is above you in the standings 3 times in a row. Very difficult task. I'm looking back at their results from last year. They didn't beat a single team 3 times. Now, they did beat every team in the NHL last year, with the exception of one. They have a win against every team last year in the NHL, with the exception of one. And that one team was a team they only played twice. It was the Nashville Predators, and they went 0-1-1 against the Preds. So they even got a point off the Preds last year. And last year against New Jersey, they played Jersey 4 times, and they went 2-1-1. So they had a favorable record against Jersey last year. And when you look at the standings right now, Jersey's sitting in the 3rd spot in the Metro with 62 points, 2 points back of the 2nd place Canes. Canes do have 2 games in hand. Devils have played 52, by the way. Record of 28-18-6. And those 62 points. And they got a healthy margin to the 4th team in the division, which is Columbus, who has 55 points. So they're 7 points up on Columbus. But again, Columbus has 2 games in hand. Flyers have a single game in hand and are 10 points back of the Devils. Yet they've beaten the Devils 3-1 and 4-2. Once in New Jersey, the 3-1 game, low event game, if you recall. And then they beat them, obviously, at Wells Fargo Center on Monday by a score of 4-2. Devils 4-3-3 in their last 10. They are plus 26 in goal differential, and the Flyers still sitting at minus 19. So the Flyers, Jersey's a good team. I don't know if they're a cup contender just yet. I feel like there still needs something to add to that roster. We'll see if Tom Fitzgerald, and they do add anything to that roster come deadline time. And they'll obviously get Jacob Markstrom back, hoping he remains healthy. But they're leaning on Jake Allen now, who I thought gave up a hideous goal, the Farabee goal, the second one. I thought was a really bad goal because he booted the Lawton shot off the glove and left the rebound there for Farabee. But I thought he settled into the game and made some really good saves the rest of the way. And he's a veteran backup that's had some success in the NHL, one of the better backups in the league. So we'll probably see Jake Allen again tonight. Will we see Sam Ersson again tonight? Flyers have a back-to-back tonight and tomorrow, where they will face the New York Islanders. I imagine we'll see Ersson tonight and Fedotov tomorrow night. That's my guess. We'll see if that holds true. Great to see Scott Lawton back in the lineup in the game on Monday. And it's kind of out there now, the personal reasons why Scott Lawton was out. There was a sudden death in his family, in his extended family. So we wish Scott Lawton prayers, and everybody, his wife and the family, all the support in the world. Very difficult situation. Apparently it was sudden and not expected. So not that it's much easier when it is expected, but when it's sudden, it's obviously hits in a different place on the body. So all the prayers in the world to Scott Lawton and his family in dealing with this tragedy. But the Flyers will be back. They get the Devils tonight, and they have this rare opportunity to go 3-0 against a really good team in the division. And you'd love to see another, not only win, but another regulation win would be fantastic for the Flyers as they get after it once again tonight in New Jersey. We'll see if Sean Couturier returns tonight. He missed the game on Monday due to illness. It's that time of year. Stuff goes around. So we'll see if he ends up back on the ice for the Flyers tonight. They were without Nico Hischier, their captain, who took a pretty raunchy hit, cross-check to the back a game prior. We'll see if he can get back out there as well, as the Flyers will look to take on the Devils. Now, busy week of hockey, busy time period here for the Flyers. Tomorrow, or no, later today, actually, the new episode of Hockey and Hounds is going to come out. I sat down with John Tortorella yesterday for Hockey and Hounds, and we have John Tortorella for this episode as well. And in talking about Matvei Mishkov and his usage, didn't play the final 13:40, I believe it was, in the game on Monday against the Devils. And there's a lot of chatter out there on social media and debate in regards to the usage of Matvei Michkov. And, don't get caught up in all this baloney. There's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. They're not playing him a lot because they want to hold him down. They don't want to get his head getting too big. And if they used him more, his advanced numbers would be just as good in more playing time. And frankly, the argument from a very vocal minority is getting very tired. Did you ever think that maybe his advanced numbers are good because he's getting put into advantageous positions on the ice, and because they are limiting his ice because he is clearly struggling physically right now with his legs? I think there's a mental part to it too. The travel, it's all weighing on him, and that is to be expected. This notion that in his small sample size of NHL time, and when his minutes drop down, and his play driving numbers are still up, but the notion that if he just played 19 minutes, they would still be that is about as uneducated and dumb as it gets. So just don't fall into that trap. The plan is for Matvei Michkov to be a star, and how you handle him now, it doesn't prevent him from being a star, but it helps him get there quicker by managing the player. We talk about it a little bit in this conversation you're going to hear in a second from Torts as well, because a player like him needs to be managed. And one of the great things about him coming over early is that he gets you guys know this. I talk about this a lot. When guys come in and they get a little taste of the NHL, and then they can take that back with them, whether it's to the AHL, Jetlachenko, take it back to junior, to know what it takes to be an NHL player is information that you bank, and now you know what it feels like. You know what you got to do. You can prepare better. Him being here now early starts that process much earlier. And this will be a huge offseason for Matvei from a training perspective, from just working on the body, the mind, and the grind of 82 games against the best players in the world and the most unforgiving hockey on the planet. So they're really important. But this very vocal minority of people seems to think that the organization wants to hold him down. And that's absurd. These are people that claim that well, I'll take you behind their thinking. I'll take you behind the velvet rope, or I'll peel back the curtain. These people that are claiming these things have never been behind the curtain. And they don't talk to people that are behind the curtain. So it's all conjecture and conspiracy theory. All right, I'm done with it. Let's get to John Tortorella. Talk about a number of topics here. So here's my sit-down conversation with the Flyers head coach, John Tortorella. Is it possible, Torts, that with your team, as we talk about it being a collection, that even though there hasn't been huge progress year to year in the standings from last year, but you have a lot of progress on individual fronts, and maybe it just hasn't manifested into the progress as a team completely just yet? Is that possible to happen where you see guys? I mean, you got to look at guys like Brink. You got to look at obviously Michkov. You look at guys like Noah Cates taking big strides for you this year. Risto continues to be. I thought he was your best player again the other night. He was unbelievable, leading the forecheck, getting in on the body, almost as F1. When you see those things, can you have that with guys taking steps, but maybe not the collective taking the big step yet?
Yeah. As you know, we're still grinding away as far as points, and we've put ourselves in a spot where we're in the hunt again. But this Michkov thing, it should not go on. Everybody's knows he's kind of a big name for us, and we're hoping he's going to be a star. But to get him over here a year earlier than we thought, or maybe even 2 years earlier, is huge for the process that we're going through with him right now, and teaching what we need out of him also in the other parts of the game. Bobby Brink's a story. I don't know where it goes. I don't know where it goes, where I wasn't sure where he fit in this situation as we were building the team. And hopefully in a couple of years, we're competing for playoffs, in the playoffs. And is he still around then? He's putting himself in a situation. We're going to keep looking at him. So the individual stuff is really important in the situation we're in. And the team itself, coaching staff, players, we always want results, right?
Yeah.
Managers and where the ownership is and all that, they just want to see it grow, and that's the way we have to. And another big note is we have come up with a style of play that we want to play, and that's important. People just think you go out and play the game, but there's certain with it. We are very comfortable in the style we're playing, and it helps us as we go future draft picks, trades, free agency. Do they fit our style? A lot of good things are happening, and I don't know where the hell we go. I don't know if we keep competing for a playoff spot or what happens, but there's a lot of good things in the process of where we are in rebuilding this team.
Are there, I'm sure sometimes you see it coming that a player is ready to bust through a plateau where he kind of gets, players get stuck in development at times. They get to a spot and they go, maybe they become complacent. Maybe they don't know that they can break through another level, whatever it might be. But there's traits that maybe you see as a coach that a player is ready to break through that. But I wonder, are there consistent traits in that player that break them through that quicker? Guys that like say, what, I didn't know I could get to this level, but I think I can go even higher. And they do that on their own. What are those traits?
Yeah, and it's to me, it's not a physical trait.
Yeah, between years.
Yeah. And a perfect example, I know we've been talking about him quite a bit here the past 6-8 weeks, is Casey. And no one thought Casey would be able to. He doesn't have really big numbers, right? I think although the past month he's put up some good numbers, but they're not huge numbers. But we see a guy that has grown into wanting to be something else that I think everybody kind of pigeonholed into: a defensive center, take some faceoffs, kill some penalties, get you 11, 12 minutes a night, and you're done. I think he is, and the most important thing, Jason, is he believes that he's something. He's tried to step out of himself and take a risk and take some chances in his play, different style that we've never seen out of him the first 2 years that I've had him. And now he says, man, I'm still swimming here. And so I think the biggest thing with him and what happens in growth of players is they believe. It's not the coaches. It's not me and you. It's not the fans. It's they got to have that inner belief. And I think that's so strong and so important if you want to kind of be the best you can be.
With him, to me, he's become the Cam York story of last year, this year, where I thought Yorkie was last year just showing the way he could compete, deal with plays off the rush, block shots. I didn't know that. We talked about, we didn't know if there was a killer inside of Cam York. He showed that there was. Cates is becoming that guy this year. And I think the thing that he's one of those guys, if you pre-scout you guys and you don't go real deep, and like you said, you look at his raw numbers, you're going to be in for it because the detail with which he plays with, the way he forechecks and uses his stick and his body, he's just creating so much now. And now that he knows he can create, I think that's just been a huge revelation on this season, almost beyond anything else individually.
And then he keeps on trying different experiences. He keeps on trying to push his level. Now, it's interesting when you talk about Cam York, and this is a huge part of growing. When you get like Casey's he's growing. Yorkie grew last year, but when you get there, you can't settle. You got to keep on growing and keep on trying to be the best you can be. In Cam, it's been a bit of a struggle for him. I don't think he's played since his injury. I don't think he's played nearly to the level that he played at last year, and that's something we continue to evaluate. We're, the players that get there, and you say, man, they are. There's a piece to the puzzle right there. It has to be constant, and it has to be each year you keep on delivering, because that's the hard part. Accept the responsibility when you get there to be better, and you can't dip. You can't lose yourself. And these are situations that we're looking at a number of players that we felt they've grown, but then they kind of go the other way. And so it's a tough business, man. And to be a pro athlete and you want things each and every day out of them, they have to continue to push themselves to be the best they can be.
You want to get paid on past compliments, go be an accountant or something like that. Yeah. Pro sports is not for you. Last thing, Torts, during times in a rebuild, and you've been in rebuilds before, you start to get a sense of the direction. You just mentioned the style of hockey, the way you guys want to play. And I think that is a really big element to settle in on, to go, okay, this is our identity and we're going to draft, we're going to coach to it and everything, from a hockey standpoint. And then you have the off-ice cultural standpoint as well. Sometimes, though, in a rebuild, you have these points where it can be negative too, where you go, maybe we're not moving in the right direction. We got to pivot a little bit here or there. Do you feel like you've pivoted now in a direction in this rebuild? Still a long way to go. Tons of work to be done here. You got to free up cat. You got a lot to do. But do you feel like the direction has been charted a little bit more in this past season than was coming in, perhaps?
Yeah. You know what, Jason? I think the biggest thing for us is figuring out the goaltending. I said at the beginning of the year, I was very nervous about our situation when we lost Carter. Still am. I don't know what we have there. Earth shows us, you're a goaltender, and Earth shows us sometimes that he's moving in the right direction. But I cannot sit here today in this show and tell you, is Earth going to be your number one? I don't know. Goalie, I don't know about Feds. When you start, you go through this process, and each and every year trying to get better, then hopefully you get to where, all right, now we can bring some free agents in. We've grown our kids. A huge position is that goaltending position. So these are discussions we're having all the time, because a wrench was thrown into this when the Carter Hart situation arose, and where we thought we had a great tandem. It's tandem goaltending now in the National Hockey League. And other than 5 or 6 teams with just number ones, it's tandem. And our tandem was growing well. Carter was growing. Urs was behind him. But now, and we've talked about this quite a bit, that's a huge part for me, and I think this organization, to continue to watch and see exactly what are we going to do, because we got a couple other very interesting young kids in our system. That are they going to be it? Are they going to be our guys? So these are questions that have to be answered in that ultimate important position of a National Hockey League team.
Why is goaltending always so much fun to talk about? Because it's so consequential to everything. It's bonkers. It's like the QB in football. If you don't have one, you're looking for one too. There he is, John Tortorella. Flyers going to take on the Devils tonight for a third straight time. Not straight time, but third time in the last couple of weeks, second straight time. And they'll see if they can get a third straight win over the Devils tonight. I'm intrigued by this game tonight. And then tomorrow there'll be an action against the Islanders. We'll preview that in tomorrow's episode. We'll also recap Flyers Devils. So plenty to talk about here on Flyers Daily. If you are watching this on YouTube, do yourself a favor, pull up your sleeve like this and go old school WWF, boom, elbow to the like button. Do that, and we much appreciate it. Subscribe as well. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Flyers Daily.